The restaurant was the kind of place designed to intimidate, waiters in ties, wine lists longer than novels, and guests wearing watches worth more than my first year's revenue. I'd worn my best dress to Marcus's 30th birthday dinner. Navy blue, geometric patterns, made by one of our platform's designers. It had cost more to produce than most department store dresses sold for, but looking around at my brother's Harvard friends, I still felt underdressed. "This is my little sister, Andrea," Marcus said with that condescending smile. "She runs a little online business." Little. Everything about me was little in his world. I was 26, 3 years into building something I believed in. While my college classmates fought for internships at fashion houses, I taught myself digital marketing and started connecting independent designers with customers who actually valued their work. What began with 5 designers and $300 in monthly sales had grown into a platform with 30 designers, 6-figure monthly revenue, and 11 employees. Real people depending on me for their paychecks. Real designers building careers through what we'd created. But to Marcus and his crowd, I was still playing entrepreneur. When conversation turned to business aspirations, someone asked about my plans. "Actually, I'm hoping to expand into physical retail," I said. "The online platform has been successful enough that we're ready for brick-and-mortar locations." The table went quiet. Then Marcus laughed. Not a happy laugh, but the kind that made my stomach clench. "Andrea," he said loudly enough for nearby tables to hear, "your garage business is never going to grow that big. It's a cute little hobby, but you should really think about getting a real job before you're too old to be hireable." His friends chuckled. Victoria covered her smile. The words hit like a slap, not just what he said, but the casual cruelty of it. The complete dismissal of 3 years of work. I forced myself to smile. "You might be right. Thanks for the advice." I excused myself to the bathroom where I stared at my reflection and took slow breaths. When I returned, I sat quietly through dessert, made small talk, and waited for my escape. "I should head out," I announced. "Early morning tomorrow." "Of course," Marcus said without looking up. "Drive safely." No hug. No thanks for coming. Just dismissal. I drove home with the radio off, thinking about everything I'd accomplished and why it still felt like nothing when my family looked at me. That night at 11:47 p.m., my phone rang. "Andrea, this is Christian Hayes, Marcus's friend. I hope I'm not calling too late." My heart stopped. Christian was calling me? "I've been thinking about our conversation earlier," he said. "Your business model is brilliant. I've been researching the multi-brand platform space since I got home, and what you've built is exactly the kind of innovation reshaping retail." "Thank you," I managed. "Here's the thing, Andrea. You mentioned wanting to expand into physical retail. That requires significant capital and expertise. Most online companies fail at that transition." He paused. "However, with the right backing, I think you could dominate that space." My pulse raced. "I'd like to propose a partnership. I'm prepared to invest $50 million to help you build infrastructure for physical retail, expand your technology platform, and scale nationally." The world tilted. $50 million? It's enough to open flagship stores, build proper supply chain systems, hire the team you'll need. "I know what works, Andrea. I've backed 12 successful retail expansions in 5 years. This is incredible, but does Marcus know you're calling me?" Marcus doesn't know, and frankly, his opinion isn't relevant to my investment decisions. I evaluate opportunities based on merit, not family politics. His tone suggested he wasn't a fan of my brother's attitude either. "What your brother said tonight was wrong. You've built something remarkable, and it deserves to be scaled properly. Don't let anyone convince you otherwise." After we hung up, I sat staring at my phone until the screen went dark. Marcus thought my business was a cute hobby I'd outgrow. Turns out, I was just getting started. The next few months were a blur of due diligence, strategic planning, and learning to think bigger than I'd ever imagined. Christian wasn't just an investor, he was a true partner. He questioned everything, pushed back on assumptions, and forced me to defend every decision. But his challenges made the plan stronger. "You're underestimating foot traffic patterns," he said, marking up my first store layout with red pen. "This assumes customers browse methodically, but retail behavior is chaotic." He was right. I'd been thinking like an online retailer where customers followed logical paths. Physical retail required understanding how people actually moved through space. We spent days visiting successful boutiques, high-end bookstores, jewelry stores, anywhere that created exceptional customer experiences. "Watch how people engage," Christian murmured in a bookstore. "Pick up books, flip through, set down, come back. That's the engagement you want with clothing." By month 3, we had comprehensive plans. flagship stores in 5 cities, hybrid inventory that showcased top designers while maintaining online breadth, seamless digital physical integration through a mobile app. My family finally noticed when my mother heard from neighbors about the major investment. $50 million, Andrea? That's real money. That's serious business. Funny how the same woman who'd told me to get a job at Nordstrom suddenly understood it was serious when dollar amounts got large enough. Yes, Mom, it's been serious for a while now. Your father and I are very proud. We always knew you had it in you. Did you? I thought, remembering years of suggestions to stop playing around on the internet. Will you bring this investor to Marcus's engagement party? We'd love to meet him. There it was. Not celebrating my success, but figuring out how to benefit socially. I'll see if he's available, I lied, having zero intention of subjecting Christian to that circus. 6 months later, I stood in what would become our first flagship store in Boston's Back Bay, watching contractors install custom lighting. You look like you're about to throw up, Christian observed, handing me coffee. What if nobody comes? What if we've completely misread the market? Then we adjust, he said calmly. But that's not going to happen. Do you know how many pre-opening inquiries we've gotten? The Boston Globe wants a feature. Your email list for this city alone has 12,000 people. He was right, but logic didn't calm my butterflies. This was public, visible, a statement everyone could see and judge. Opening day arrived with perfect weather. By 2 p.m., steady traffic flowed through. By 6 p.m., we'd made our sales goal for the entire first week. By 8 p.m., when the official party began, I knew we'd created something special. The evening buzzed with customers discovering unique pieces, bloggers posting in real time, the magazine editor interviewing me about expansion plans. Then my parents arrived, looking overwhelmed but impressed. Andrea, honey, my mother said, taking in the sophisticated space. This is just beautiful. I had no idea it would be so professional. Professional. From her, that was genuine praise. She'd expected something amateur. Around 9 p.m., Marcus and Catherine arrived, both windblown and apologetic. Sorry we're late, Catherine said. Marcus got stuck in a client meeting. Marcus looked around with an expression I couldn't read, surprise, certainly, maybe grudging respect. This is really something, sis, he said finally. Much bigger than I expected. Not congratulations or I'm proud. Just acknowledgement that his expectations had been wrong. Christian appeared with champagne. Andrea, sales numbers are through the roof. Press coverage is fantastic. And I just got off the phone with investors wanting to discuss additional funding for faster expansion. Additional funding? Marcus's voice sharpened with interest. I watched my brother's expression during his conversation with Christian, seeing calculation behind his eyes. The real test was just beginning. 3 months after our Boston opening, we prepared to launch 5 stores simultaneously: Chicago, Austin, Seattle, Portland, and DC. Then Sarah called with a problem. Marcus has been calling our stores directly, identifying himself as your business partner, asking detailed operational questions. My hands clenched. He's what? The Chicago manager called first. Marcus said he was conducting a family business review. When she asked him to contact you, he said you were too busy and had asked him to handle it. Please tell me she didn't give him anything. She didn't, but Austin got a similar call yesterday, and Portland this morning. I closed my eyes, feeling familiar anger and disappointment. There's more, isn't there? He's been reaching out to press in each city, introducing himself as a family consultant. A Seattle reporter called to fact-check. Marcus told them he'd been instrumental in connecting you with investors and developing expansion strategy. I stared out my office window. After all our conversations about boundaries, Marcus was still trying to insert himself. Send a message to all managers immediately. Any calls from Marcus come to me personally. No information gets shared without my explicit approval. 3 days before the multi-city opening, Christian called about another incident. My assistant got a call from someone claiming to represent your family's business interests, wanting to discuss ongoing consulting arrangements. Marcus? The caller mentioned being your brother with extensive architecture experience. Said he was exploring ways to formalize his advisory role. He has no advisory role, I said flatly. That's what we communicated. But Andrea, this confusion could be problematic. Investors need clarity about authority structures. He was right. Unclear authority was a red flag that scared away funding. I'll confront him directly. That evening, I met Marcus at a restaurant halfway between our offices. Marcus, we need to talk about the calls you've been making to our stores. His enthusiasm dimmed slightly. I was wondering when that would come up. You've been impersonating a business partner and requesting confidential information. That's not acceptable. Impersonating is strong. I was trying to help. Without asking me first. Without any authorization. How is that helping? Marcus set down his water, jaw tightening. Andrea, I'm your brother. I have legitimate interest in understanding how the family business is performing. Family business? I kept my voice level. Marcus, this isn't a family business. This is my company, which I built with my vision and work, with investment from Christian. Your friend who you had nothing to do with connecting me to professionally. That's not entirely accurate. Christian knew about your work because of Sophie. Yes, but he invested because of what I'd already built. Not because of any introduction from you. We stared at each other across the table. Marcus, I need you to stop. No more calls to our stores. No more conversations with reporters. No more unauthorized investigations. This needs to end now. And if I don't, then I'll have legal send a cease and desist letter, and future communication goes through lawyers. He looked genuinely surprised. You'd really take legal action against your own brother? To protect my company and employees? Absolutely. He nodded slowly. I see. Well, I certainly don't want problems. Congratulations on your success, Andrea. I hope the openings go well. He left cash for his water and walked out. I sat alone, feeling drained but relieved. The boundaries were clear now. 2 days later, Sarah called at 6 a.m. You need to see this. She showed me Marcus's LinkedIn post. Excited to celebrate my sister Andrea's incredible achievement with 5 new retail locations this week. It's been rewarding to provide strategic guidance during her expansion phase, and I'm proud to support innovative family enterprises reshaping fashion industry. Looking forward to continued collaboration as the business grows. Strategic guidance. Continued collaboration. Family business. The post had dozens of likes and comments congratulating Marcus on his mentorship. Call our lawyer now, I said. Already did. She's drafting a cease and desist, but social media posts are harder to address legally unless they contain specific false claims. The timing was perfect sabotage. Today was Wednesday, and Thursday we'd open 5 stores in front of media who might now be confused about who actually ran the company. That day, I fielded calls from store managers dealing with Marcus showing up or calling. In Portland, he brought a journalist with him, positioning himself as a family business representative. I got on a conference call with the Portland manager, Christian, who'd flown in that morning, and the journalist. I think there may be confusion, I told the reporter. This isn't a family business. It's a company I founded independently with investment from Christian Hayes. Marcus indicated he'd been involved in developing expansion strategy and connecting you with funding, the journalist said. Marcus is my brother, and I appreciate his support. But he hasn't been involved in operations or planning. Christian would be the appropriate person to discuss our expansion. After clarifying with the reporter, Christian texted me. Marcus left quickly after you explained his role. No more family confusion. By day's end, all 5 stores exceeded opening targets. Press coverage was universally positive. It should have been perfect. But that evening, Marcus called. Andrea, I think we need to talk. I think we covered everything Monday. I may have misunderstood the boundaries you were setting. I almost laughed. Marcus, you showed up at my opening with a journalist after I explicitly asked you to stop interfering. Long pause. You're right. I should have handled that differently. Yes, you should have. I want to apologize and make an offer. Instead of inserting myself into existing operations, what if I provided genuine value managing administrative complexity? You're overseeing 5 locations plus the tech platform plus expansion planning. That's enormous for one person. It was more reasonable than his previous attempts. But I was skeptical. Marcus, why is this so important to you? You have your own successful career. Another pause. Because what you've built is extraordinary. More than that, it's transformational success I don't think I'll ever achieve in architecture. I want to be part of something that matters this much. The honesty surprised me. Prove you can respect boundaries first, I said. No unauthorized communications. No social media positioning. Complete transparency. Then maybe we discuss a limited consulting arrangement in a few months. Fair enough, he said. I'll prove I can do this right. 3 weeks after the 5-city opening, final numbers came in. We'd exceeded 4th quarter projections by 43%. The mobile app had 200,000 downloads. Customer retention was 91%. And 3 major department store chains wanted to license our curation technology. 7 figures just for initial licensing, Sarah said. If successful, mid-8-figure annual revenue. Mid-8 figures. Generational wealth territory. When Marcus called requesting another meeting about collaboration, I agreed to one final conversation. Friday afternoon, he arrived with a portfolio of research, analyses of secondary markets, architectural considerations for our retail model, thorough professional work. This is good research, I admitted. But we already have a real estate team. I could provide specialized expertise about optimizing layouts for your specific model. The way you integrate physical and digital experiences requires spatial planning most commercial architects haven't worked with. It was reasonable. The work demonstrated genuine understanding. If we worked together, there would need to be very clear agreements. Roles, responsibilities, communication protocols all formalized. Absolutely. Everything through proper contracts. No more social media posts. If you attend events, it's as a contracted consultant, not family with business authority. Understood. I studied his face. He seemed chastened, but Marcus was good at saying what people wanted to hear. Let me think about it. As he left, Andrea, I owe you a real apology. Not just for recent incidents, but for years of not taking your work seriously. I was wrong, and I'm sorry. The apology sounded genuine, but I'd heard versions before. That evening, Christian and I met for dinner. What did you think of Marcus's proposal? Honestly, it's reasonable. His research was solid, but mixing family and business is complicated. What if there were safeguards? Clear contracts, defined scope, performance reviews. The bigger question, Christian said, isn't whether to work with Marcus. It's whether you're ready to delegate so you can focus on strategic leadership instead of operational details. He was right. The skills that got us here, hands-on management, personal attention to everything, were becoming limitations. Hire the best people for each function regardless of family, Christian advised. If Marcus is genuinely the best, work with him. If not, go elsewhere. And if he screws up, fire him like any other contractor. But the conversation was interrupted by urgent news. 3 days later, Sarah delivered a bombshell. A Business Week reporter says someone's been shopping a story claiming your success is due to family connections and undisclosed relationships. They're suggesting conflicts of interest or nepotism with Christian's investment. My stomach dropped. Let me guess who's been feeding them information. I called the reporter directly to clarify facts. Christian's investment was initiated by him after months of research. No family members facilitated introductions or influenced decisions. Marcus had no official role despite his claims otherwise. When I hung up, I looked at Christian and Sarah. I'm done, I said. No more attempts at family involvement. Sarah, draft a statement setting the record straight about company structure. Going forward, if reporters ask about family dynamics, the official response is, this company was built independently, funded through legitimate investment, operated according to standard corporate governance. When Marcus called for the 4th time, I answered, Andrea, thank God. I need to explain about the reporter. No, Marcus. There will be no partnership arrangement. No consulting contracts. No further conversations about your involvement. You've demonstrated repeatedly that you can't respect boundaries or represent the company accurately. Andrea, you're being unreasonable. Family should stick together. Family should stick together by respecting each other's accomplishments and supporting independence. That's not what you've been doing. So you're cutting me out permanently? I looked around my office at evidence of everything we'd built. Marcus, I'm choosing to focus on the business I built with the team that helped me build it and partners who believe in what we're creating. If you can't be supportive without inserting yourself, then yes, I'm protecting what we've built. That's your final answer? That's my final answer. After hanging up, I felt relieved. Completely clear about priorities for the first time in months. Christian pulled out projections for the next 5 years. Hundreds of stores, technology licensing deals with major retailers, international expansion potential. This is what we could build if we stay focused on business instead of drama. I looked at the numbers. 3 years ago, I'd been a graduate with a fashion degree and an idea. My family dismissed it as a hobby I'd outgrow. Now I was looking at plans to transform an entire industry. Let's do it, I said. All of it. Because that's what success really looks like, not proving people wrong, but building something so extraordinary their opinions become irrelevant. And that's exactly what we were going to do. I stood at the podium of a retail innovation conference, addressing 500 industry professionals about democratizing fashion through technology. Our platform now served 200 independent designers across 12 cities. The licensing technology had been adopted by 15 major retailers. Our mobile app had been downloaded 2 million times. Annual revenue had crossed $100 million. During Q&A, someone asked about family support during growth. My journey taught me that validation from the people you expect it from isn't always possible, I said honestly. What matters is building something valuable, serving customers who appreciate it, and working with people who share your vision. Sometimes the people who underestimate you most are the ones who think they know you best. That's not failure on your part, it's limitation on theirs. After the session, a young woman approached nervously. My family says my business is just a hobby. How did you deal with that? I smiled, remembering Marcus's words at that birthday dinner. I stopped trying to convince them and started focusing on results. Eventually, success speaks louder than criticism. But more importantly, I found partners who believed in the vision, and that belief mattered more than family approval ever could. That evening, I had dinner with Christian to celebrate our latest licensing deal. Remember when you called me that night after Marcus's dinner? I asked. How could I forget? You sounded devastated but determined. That's when I knew you'd actually succeed, not because you had a good idea, but because you had the resilience to execute despite everyone doubting you. Including my own family. Especially your own family. That's the hardest doubt to overcome. My phone buzzed with a text from Marcus. Saw your conference keynote online. Genuinely impressive. I'm sorry I couldn't see it years ago. I showed Christian, who raised an eyebrow. How does that make you feel? I considered. Once, Marcus's validation would have meant everything. Now it was just acknowledgement. Grateful, I said finally. Not for his approval, but for learning that I didn't need it. That's the real gift, discovering you can build something extraordinary whether or not the people you grew up with can see it. To extraordinary things, Christian said, raising his glass. To extraordinary things, I echoed. And as we toasted the future we'd built together, I thought about that young woman I'd been 3 years ago, dismissed as playing at business, told to get a real job, humiliated at a fancy dinner. She'd become exactly who she needed to be. The founder of something that mattered, the CEO of a company transforming an industry, and the woman who proved that sometimes the best revenge is simply succeeding. Not for them, for yourself.